Well, I hope you've got your caboodles packed and ready to go, friends, because we're taking a trip together down memory lane. I'm about to get real reminisce and nostalgic on you because I want to talk and think about products that were. And I don't think any of the products I'm mentioning today are still available, other than I think maybe one of them or two of them in a different iteration, and we'll talk about that. There are going to be so many products that unlock something in your brain today, a memory, and I'm so excited to provide that for you. Because as I was like looking into what do I want to talk about and kind of finding pictures online to show you what I'm talking about, so many memories for me were unlocked. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I totally forgot that thing existed. I used to love that, whatever. So get ready, baby. We're diving in. Cheers. There's a hair on that. Sorry. It's mine. I think. Why don't we start strong with almost the entire reason I started my YouTube channel in the first place. It was this product right here, the Revlon lip butters. Remember these? They were in that quilted packaging. It was like slightly sheer. They had a bunch of different colors. I remember very particularly my favorite shade was Peach Parfait. That is bored into my brain. And it's funny now because it was kind of a peachy color with like a little bit of a gold glitter shimmer to it. I don't even think it probably didn't even look that good on me. Like now it would not be a color I would pick, but boy, at the time, it was all I could think about, all I could talk about. And I remember very particularly this season of my life. I was nannying for a family. I hadn't started my YouTube channel yet. And I was always saving up to buy like another color in the lip butter. So it was just a big, very momentous time in my life when I did decide to start a channel and then actually starting it. And so in my earlier videos, I talk about the lip butters a lot. It was my entire personality, I feel like. Have any of you guys been around that long? Oh my gosh. I gotta be honest too, in developing this list, I was done with it. And then I've already got a list for part 2. So maybe someday in a month or two from now, we'll do a part 2 to this because I could go on forever, baby. I could go on forever. But I went through an old makeup collection video of mine that is so shaky, way too zoomed in, and my voice, I have such a baby voice, oh my gosh. And I literally was looking through my drawers and it was helping create this list because I'm like, I had forgotten about so many of these products. Okay, next up is another one. We're gonna kind of start a surface level and we're gonna get deeper, okay, as we go. Maybelline Dream Matte Mousse. It was a foundation in a pot. It was real moussey and kind of weird. I remember hating it. Though, I don't know, maybe the product was decent. I don't think it was though. I don't think I'm remembering it wrong. However, I also feel like when that launched, like that was pre my YouTube channel and all that. That was when I was first starting to try out foundations and things like that. And I don't think I really knew what I was doing. I never could find my color. I think that was a pretty common problem with probably a lot of the lines back then, but especially that one. It was definitely geared towards more oily skin because it was super matte. But the more I think about it, I'm like, gosh, you're like digging in there and getting it out. And that just unlocked another one for me. Oh my gosh, the similar product, the Revlon Color Stay Whipped. If you recall, like the Revlon Color Stay foundation line is still popular, was popular then, like that has been a mainstay at the drugstore. But their whipped version came out and it was similar, but it was way less dry and moussey. And so it made it easier to apply. And I remember loving that stuff, like using it all the time. So that texture was just a little bit more easy to use and prettier on the skin. However, I would be curious to even try that one now and see if I like it. It almost might be too heavy, but you never know, you know? So many of these as we go through, I just wish they would relaunch them. Okay, this is a very niche one. All right, are you ready? Do you remember the Bourjois chocolate bronzer? I'm not talking the Too Faced chocolate bronzer. I'm talking the brand that isn't even sold here in the States, but like we were all buying it on eBay to get it from the UK or wherever it's from, France, I don't know. Definitely somewhere in Europe. I remember maybe it was available in Canada and we went across the border at some point and I was like, and I remember buying it, or no, it was on our honeymoon. We went to Paris, that's what it was. So it was 2015. And I remember buying a bunch of these things because I couldn't get my hands on it. That's what it was. It wasn't even that good. At the time, I think I liked it. But again, nowadays we have so many options and everything is so good. But back then you really did roll the dice. And that one, I mean, I remember it being okay. I think it was just too dark for me. And yeah, but if I recall, it smelled like chocolate. It looked like a literal chocolate bar. Wow, it was a different time. Do you remember the Revlon Just Bitten Balm Stains? These were like that chubby crayon. I remember, was it Leanne Says that loved the shade? I mean, I remember loving the shade Honey too, but I feel like even more recently, she was like on the hunt maybe 6 or 7 years ago for a dupe for it because of course it had been discontinued and that was her go-to lip. Is that right? I think that's right. Anyway, it was so good though. And I'm like, again, if they launched that or the lip butters again nowadays, people would go crazy. I'm like, come on, Revlon, listen to us. Give us what we want. The NYC bronzer. Just look at the picture. That really takes me back. That brings me back to like high school me, just learning how to do makeup. That was way too dark and orange for my skin tone. Probably never looked good on me, but boy, did I always have it in my collection. Had it for years. Repurchased it even. Speaking of repurchasing, do you remember the Rimmel Stay Matte powders? This is one I'm pretty sure they still sell. I should try it again. Ooh. When I rewatched and kind of scrubbed through one of my old makeup collection videos, I had hit pan on one, almost used it up, and I already had a backup. That was my go-to setting powder. I used it every single day, and that I remember using when I first started doing makeup way before my channel. Like that really was a mainstay in my life. And so that one I look back with such fondness. I should totally buy it again. And it had that weird packaging that a lot of products, like where just like the lid just sat on top and it like kind of doesn't click in, but it, you know, it stays on well enough, but it really did just sit on top. And that seems chaotic to me now. Like that's crazy. It doesn't click shut. It didn't, but I kind of miss it. Ben Nye banana powder. This stuff is still available. It's, you know, Ben Nye is a stage makeup company or like professional artistry makeup type, you know, company. But Ben Nye, I mean, that is like synonymous to me with getting ready for shows and like doing theater. And a lot of what we use, I remember when I was taking my like stage makeup class thing in college, like I think we had to buy a Ben Nye kit. I think the entire thing was Ben Nye. Anyway, we didn't buy the banana powder for that. But if you recall, Kim Kardashian, like that was what her makeup artist at the time, I don't know if it was Mario back then or not, but they were always using the banana powder. So there's like a famous photo I'll pop up of like her with that banana powder on, I think like baking. So before they'd like brushed it away. So we all were using it back then, whether it was appropriate for us or not. Like, I'm not sure that the banana powder ever quite did the brightening effect that it did like on someone with Kim Kardashian's skin tone. Nonetheless, we were all using it. And what was crazy is that when I was Googling, you know, Ben Nye banana powder, and I'm looking at Google Images, which shout out to all of the old blog posts, Reddit posts, things like these are truly, especially the blog posts, some of these are actual relics. Like these are moments in time that were, and it wasn't even that long ago, but they freeze what products look like. Like you've got this treasure trove of images and reviews and swatches of these products from a long time ago. So it was such a fun trip down memory lane. If you're bored someday at home alone or whatever, or maybe you're waiting in line, just start looking up old school makeup and read some old blogs. It'll just make you so happy. As I was searching for that on Google Images, an old video of mine, the thumbnail came up and it was me comparing the banana powder to the Cameo powder, which was definitely a little bit better for my skin tone. It was like a little less yellow, more pinkish, whitish. Anyway, and then I watched a minute of it and I was like, my gosh, like it's just so not who I am now. So it was darling to watch. You learn a lot. Anyway, also, why was I always so zoomed in on myself? I was always so zoomed in. All right, this one's gonna unlock something for some of you guys. The Sonia Kashuk Hidden Agenda Concealer Palette. Wow. I remember hunting for this at Target's in store and I could never find it. It took me months. I finally found it and I was so excited to own it. I think originally it was in white packaging and then when Sonia Kashuk kind of rebranded, it was in black. And now I don't even think Sonia Kashuk makes makeup anymore. I think they just do like brushes and bags and stuff. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I loved that concealer palette, man. And I don't even think now looking back, if I tried it now, this is kind of this is the chorus of this whole video because most of these things now, if I were to compare it to products now, they probably wouldn't stand up. Maybe some of them would, but this is one, I remember it was like 3 different like creamy concealery, correctory shades and then one powder in there. And I don't think I use the powder often, but nowadays I would totally have used that powder, whatever. Anyway, that was one of my favorite ones to add to this list, that one, because I had totally forgotten that existed. Do you remember the pink bottled perfume from Britney Spears? It was called Fantasy. It smelled amazing, okay? I would totally, that stuff is still available today. You can still buy that. It's very inexpensive because I think they're still making it. It smells amazing. However, I don't think I could ever wear it now because it would be way too reminiscent of a time in my life. Like, I don't know that, like, there are parts of my life, you know, you're like, I don't think I would go back to high school, you know? Like, anyway, that is just, again, it's a relic in a bottle. Like, you smell that and you are transported, but it does still smell good, I will say. Okay, we're going way back, maybe to your childhood, depending on, I know we're not all the same age, obviously, but remember Bath and Body Works art stuff? Look closely at that picture. Thank you to whoever took this picture originally. This has been passed around the internet now a bunch. Some of those on there, let me pull up the picture for myself so I can also look at it. Some of these, I got some more to talk about. You guys are gonna die. Okay, this one. Bottom corner, the blue spray with like the sprayer. I 100% owned that. The one that's like the blue, like it's like two different textures whipped. I had that one. I'm sure I had one of these lotions. Like this full blown. First of all, we had no business at the age of like 11 wearing glitter all over our bodies. Like, what were we doing? Although honestly, if you're ever gonna do it, maybe that is, I don't know. Regardless, that blue stuff smelled so unbelievably good. I feel like when I'm smelling makeup products, that is the scent I'm always chasing. That scent. It smells so good. Oh my gosh. I would consider totally buying one of these if I found it on eBay. Again, Bath and Body Works relaunched this stuff. First of all, little kid, like my girls would love this stuff. Well, maybe not the youngest, but you know what I mean. But it just smells so good. Ooh, I would buy it just for nostalgia's sake and just keep it forever. What about the Wet n Wild Comfort Zone palette? I think they've got some newfangled version of it if they're still selling that, but I'm talking the square 8x8, or no, what? 2x4, 8 pan palette. I loved that palette. Again, that was one I feel like I talked about for years on my channel. And there was that one shade, the one that was the eyelid shade, like the second down. That is still like my favorite. Again, I feel like every shadow I'm single shadow that I love that's like kind of glittery, I'm always wanting like that color. Like that's the color I want. Again, that's what I'm chasing in a single shadow is that one color. Oh, so good. So good. And again, I feel like there was a green in there. I was never really using that, but I feel like looking at that color story, it was so pleasing. It was so pleasing to look at. That's also what I'm always chasing in a palette. But then I remember that bottom right corner was like that kind of weird duochrome-ish shift where it was like blue, green, brown, black, and it looked different every time you wore it. I hope you're having as much fun as I am, okay? But that also reminds me, let's piggyback on that, the trios that Wet n Wild sold, especially Walking on Eggshells. Wow, just wow. And again, they did different versions of it where like they had a newer version where Walking on Eggshells was like a quad and they added another shade, blah, blah, blah. But no, I'm talking the original 3. And there was, again, that one like single shade that was really what I was wearing from the palette. Oh. What about, we're still on the Wet n Wild train, their nail polishes. I'm talking from like 1998, their nail polishes. Very specific look, very simple. I feel like they were 99 cents. 100% I would paint my nails with it and it would like peel off in like a day, maybe less. Like the nail polish was not lasting long, but it was, again, that specific bottle because they still sell nail polish. It's changed over the years, but I'm talking this specific one. Yes. I remember struggling to find this very specific Rimmel Lasting Finish blush. And I don't know, I remember having Rimmel blushes, but I feel like I never was able to find the one that everyone was always talking about. Like it was maybe sold in Canada, but not here. And I can't remember the name and I couldn't find it in my research. So if you know what I'm talking about, let me know below. But they generally looked like this. Perhaps the one I was always wanting was the one that had like multiple shades in one. You just swirled it together. But Rimmel definitely had, you know, we talked about their powder. Rimmel definitely had a moment in time as well, where they had so many popular products. We're talking things that are like $3, $4, $5, $6. and they were really good quality, really good quality. Then of course there was the Rimmel Kate Moss lipsticks. This was one, when I was looking at the blush, I saw pictures of this and I was like, whoa, memory unlocked. Do you remember those red labeled lipsticks from Rimmel? Kate Moss was like the spokesperson for it, and they definitely had like a red, but generally I remember always hunting for the more neutral tones because they had a whole line of them. I feel like, and if I might be remembering it wrong, but I feel like I remember they released a few shades and it went so well that they released a lot more. But the packaging was that red, and then it like had Kate's signature on it. I feel like they also had ones that were maybe in black packaging with red signature. I don't know. And maybe one was neutral, one was red. Whatever it was, we were all about it. And I was always hunting down like the next shade and trying them all. What I do remember about it is that it was a little bit drier of a formula. Like it didn't, maybe it was that it went on okay, but that after a few hours, like I felt like it made my lips dry. And then of course, let's end on a super solid note, the Maybelline color tattoos. Now these still exist today. They've definitely reformulated according to me. And they're okay, they're just not great. But the ones that were around back in the day, and I looked up swatches on old blog posts just to verify that I wasn't crazy, they were so much better. They had so much pigment. They were so beautiful, especially like some of the like lighter shimmers. They were gorgeous. It was all I was wearing. Looking back at my old makeup collection video, I'm like, yep, I had multiple shades. I loved them. I would use one up, buy it again. They were so good. I wish they would just go back to whatever in the world was going on with that formula back in the day. But what is cool about the color tattoos today is that they look pretty much the same. Like they're in the same glass packaging, like not much has changed by way of that. But yeah, they're just not exactly the same formula. So what's so funny about this topic is that, you know, things that are still around, like the color tattoos, you can still get those in stores as far as I can remember. And so we kind of take those for granted. But then things like the random Rimmel lipsticks or whatever that you can't get anymore, if they released them again, I'd be like, oh, I gotta try one, like, oh my gosh. So I wish brands would like get on that train, because a lot of us that remember these old nostalgic makeup products, we're at a really good age where we're missing that kind of thing. And I just feel like if some of them would re-release a line or even a few shades from something, I mean, we would all collectively lose our minds, okay? We'd all buy it. It'd be very exciting. Anyway, a girl can dream. You never know. You never know what the future holds. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, let me know below. What is something like that's just in your brain from back in the day? Let me know below, because I might take some notes from your guys' comments. If we do a part 2, like I said, I've already got a list for part 2, and we go even deeper. We unlock even deeper core memories. But let me know what those are below. I just think this topic is so fun and just enjoyable to chat about. I hope you enjoyed this little trip down memory lane. If you're into makeup and beauty content, I do beauty videos here. I also do lifestyle vloggy videos and everything in between. I would love to have you join the fam. Subscribe, check out some of my other videos. If you are into drugstore affordable makeup content, watch this video next. It's my most recent dupes video. I share some unbelievable affordable makeup that is so much better than their high-end counterpart. I show you them side by side versus their high-end counterpart, and I show you why I think they're better. So love you guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, friends.